I have known for quite a long time that I am a paranormal sensitive, and essentially that just means I am sensitive to any kind of paranormal activity. That means seeing, hearing, feeling. I also have something called empathy, which means that I can feel the emotions and the emotional state of others. And actually that works better with the dead than it does with the living, which is odd, but I guess it's good in conjunctivity with my gift. And yes, I do call it a gift. However, the entire reason that I chose to bring this up is because there's a lot of things you have to distinguish. First of all, there is such a thing as mental disease that makes you see things that you might construe as paranormal, which is why I say if you have these kinds of things happen to you, please go to a doctor first, because, please go to a doctor. Have to go to a psychiatrist. In fact, the psychiatrist that I currently go to for bipolar disorder actually recognizes that I have some sort of sensitivity, which is very rare, I believe. In any case, I'm sure you guys have all heard of psychics such as, I don't know if you guys know, Sylvia Brown or Chip Coffey. Chip Coffey was on Paranormal State. Okay, essentially there are several different types of gifts. One is the psychic gift, which is essentially you can see various parts of consciousness, meaning, sometimes the future, past, present, and it does also work with spirits as well as the living. Also, being a psychic can mean being a collective of different gifts, meaning you can have all sorts of things. Which brings me to the clairs, C-L-A-I-R, clairs. Now, clair literally has to do with clarity. So you have, and I have them written up here, I don't know if you guys can see them. You have clairvoyance, which is the most well-known of the clairs, which just means sight. You have clear sight. And that can apply to, all of these can apply to various types of things, including spirits and the living. Then you have clairsentience. Clairsentience has to do with feeling or touching. And that can be very difficult because the majority of people with clairsentience are literally, if you touch an object, everything has energy, living energy on it. And if somebody with clairsentience touches something with, that's of some sort of importance, they're going to get lots of flashes of different lives, different feelings, emotions. It can be a very, very difficult thing. I have met clairsentient people who have had to go around wearing gloves and long-sleeved everything in every type of weather because touching anything is unbearable from what you can see from that touch. Then you have clairaudience, which, as you can probably guess, has something to do with hearing or listening. It all basically is the same. It all has to do with your consciousness. Essentially, these are forms of extrasensory perception, or ESP, which means the ability to gain information through means other than your original five senses, pardon me. Then you have clairalience, which is one that I actually did not know about until recently, which has to do with your sense of smell. You can actually get pictures through sense of smell. I did not know that because I do not have that particular gift. Then you have claircognizance, which is literally, you just know. You don't know where the information comes from. You just know. It's just there. Then you have clairgustance, which is tasting. Yeah, tasting. You taste something and it gives you a flash of something. And yeah, that can be confusing. This can all be very confusing. Then to go along with your psychics, you have a trance and physical medium, essentially which it means that they can channel a spirit, through a trance sort of state. And they can be inhabited physically by a spirit, which can be extremely dangerous and very, it can be scary. The reason being, because the point of communication the person who is the medium just loses control, because at that point the spirit has control, which you should never do that, guys. You should never let anybody else but yourself have control of that. As for, basic sensitivity is just a feeling or a sight or, feel a touch on you that you can't really explain. Being sensitive can be difficult in a lot of ways, because you see things you don't often want to see. You know things you don't often want to know, because of that seeing. However, if you have a proved sensitivity, don't think of yourself as crazy. That's not craziness at all. That's not any kind of, mental illness. It's a gift. It's something that we're all given. I have a strong belief, and this is my own belief, that 100% of the population of Earth is sensitive to some point. However, the majority of us tend to dampen this sensitivity, ignore it, call it something completely different, which essentially brings me to your dormant and mute sensitive. Yes, Mike?
No, I was just saying that's me.
That's you?
Yeah.
You're dormant and mute sensitive?
I don't know.
But you still get but you still get that creepy sensation at the, have you ever, been in a random place and just for no reason have had that prickling on the back of your neck where you're thinking somebody's with you, you have that feeling of being watched, you have that, shadow in the corner of your eyesight. Yep. That is why I say you can be a dormant or mute, because you've chosen to ignore it. And then I'm going to come back around to investigation with sensitivity. As a sensitive, and this is something that I choose personally, I take it by case. If I feel something, and it's really, really, it's just profound and it's not going away, I will mention it. I will mention it. But for the most part, I try not to use sensitivity with an investigation. Sometimes they just do not mix. Sometimes it can be dangerous, and I don't really have an actual example of this, but from personal experiences. But I've heard a lot of things go wrong because of using sensitivity with an investigation. And I do believe also that sensitivity and all abilities should be used to help other people. It's not supposed to be something like, I look at, this is just from personal views, Sylvia Brown, who has all these books and does all these TV appearances, and she gets a lot of money from that, and I don't really think that's an appropriate thing given what you are working with as sensitive or psychic. You should not make a capitalism off the dead, in my opinion. Let's see. All right, and then last thing I would like to touch on is safety. If you are sensitive and working in an environment with your sensitivity, I prefer to use a spotter, babysitter, basically it's all the same thing, to make sure that you're not following your sense to someplace dangerous or doing something that's dangerous. Don't think you're invincible just because you have sensitivity. That's what I tell a lot of people. And then, absolutely lastly, I recently founded a group called The Average Sensitive, meaning we're all normal people, who just have something that's a little different, And this flyer I have here, you guys can come up and get one later on if you want after we're done. The Average Sensitive literally is just a group that will, with resources and support, literally just want to assist anybody who has a sensitivity, and it's literally just focused on sensitivity, psychic, medium, any kind of paranormal related gift, basically. So that's just an offering if you guys need a little bit. We have a youth community, so if you feel like you need a little bit of assistance and resource, you can just get on the website and see what you can find. Okay, that is it for my sensitivity presentation, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Hey!